Good evening and welcome. We have with us Medical Education Minister Dr. K. Sudhakar, and we are going to talk about COVID-19, Lockdown 4.0 and the way forward. Now, Dr. Sudhakar is arguably the face of Karnataka's fight against COVID-19. He is a member of the government's COVID-19 task force, and being a doctor himself, many believe he is the right person to be at the helm of affairs. So, sir, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you, Bharat. Indeed, thanks, Deccan Herald, for giving me this platform to express and to tell the views of the government and our actions till now. And also, we would like to tell the audience about the future plans of the government and how people can cooperate and be a partner to the government to ensure that we contain this pandemic in a most vibrant way, in the most sophisticated way.
Right.
So it is the right time, I think, since that lockdown is being released now.
Yes.
So it's actually most appropriate time that you have me here in the studios. Thank you so much.
Sir, before we line up questions from our viewers, I just want to start by asking you, we have seen that the number of cases in Karnataka has been consistently high over the last couple of days. How does that change the state's strategy when it comes to containment and treatment of COVID-19?
See, many people feel that because from one fortnight we are seeing numbers doubling.
Yeah.
The earlier doubling period for Karnataka used to be 21 days. Whereas the national rate was 11 days.
Okay.
But from past 2-3 days, I think we have also come and we have equaled the national.
Okay.
So people may feel that in Karnataka, I think it is going little out of hand, or maybe the spread is in the community. No, this is not the community spread, or this is not proliferated within the sectors where we were monitoring it.
Right.
This is purely, these cases have come from those migration workers who traveled from Maharashtra, places of highest contamination already, and from states like Tamil Nadu, Gujarat. This is the problem for us. They were all Kannadigas, Karnataka people. So they all had come and they were residing, or they were standing at borders for 2 days, 3 days. So we could not say no to our own people. So it was our moral obligation and responsibility. So our Honorable Chief Minister and the government has allowed them by taking all precautionary measures to ensure that we all quarantine them institutionally only. So we have done all that. We have tested most of them. For your record purpose, I would like to say that on record, those people who traveled from Maharashtra, out of them 40% is being tested positive. Close to 40%. Same thing has happened in Mandya district. Same thing has happened in Chikbalapur district. Chikbalapur district, we had only 5 cases. 5 active cases before people from Maharashtra came in. Now all of a sudden, if you see, there are about 61 cases there. More 61 cases. So I think there is nothing for us to get panicked about the positive things. The new future will be different. The new future course of handling COVID will be different after lives are restarted.
Right.
There will be a new life, new lifestyles that has to begin.
And we have to learn to live with this.
We have to learn to live with it. The coexistence is the only way forward. But with the right health protocols to be maintained by all of us. Hygiene protocols has to be maintained.
So Deepa, she's a viewer watching this live, and she has a question for you, and I think she's asking you this because you are in charge of COVID-19 affairs in Bangalore. She wants to know, sir, please tell us, is community spread happening in Bangalore?
No, I can't say that the community spread is happening in Bangalore, because the cases that we have seen in Padra and Pura, because of the close proximity, the density of living was different there. So we have seen some upsurge there in the Padra and Pura area, Shivaji Nagar, parts of these areas. but I can't say there is a community spread, vast community spread. So even today, Bangalore, I got a report, there are only 4 cases from the entire population of 1.3 billion. I mean 1.3.
Yeah.
So I feel that people should not get panicked by thinking that there is a spread in community. I don't think so. Still in Karnataka, at least I can say boldly that the community spread is not happened yet.
Rahul Roshan, who is watching this live, has a question for you. In your capacity as Medical Education Minister, sir, he wants to know, in fact, he wants to bring to your notice that you have promised stipend issue will be solved in a week, but it's already been 2 weeks, no response. Please look into our matters. And he is speaking for JJMMC in Davangere, sir. What is this issue, sir?
I think he is studying in a private medical college. I had told I will be solving the stipend issues for all our government college students, which we have already done. In spite of having economic instability, the difficulty that we were in, we wanted to address, we wanted to show our gratitude, a token of gratitude. So I requested Honorable Chief Minister to enhance their stipend thing, which was not done from past 6-7 years. So we almost increased close to 40%, not just house surgeons, post-graduation students, super specialty students and fellowship students.
Correct.
So all these people we have done for all 17 government medical colleges. And the private colleges has to just follow the kind of stipends that the government is giving in their respective regions. If Karnataka is giving X amount, the private colleges also has to follow the same thing. That is the guideline of the MCI. If one private college is not doing, I am aware, and that boy is right, in Davangere that 1 or 2 medical colleges, private medical colleges are not giving. There is an issue since last 18 months, I am told.
Yes.
But I would like to address that situation, and I would like to help the students, because the government is committed to ensure our complete support is there with them.
Right.
Yeah, we will solve that issue.
Right. Aditya, who is watching this live, sir, he has a question that is there on everybody's mind. When will schools and colleges start? When will the government take a call on this?
This is a very interesting and very difficult question for me to answer as well. Because it's not about a law release or anything, or the government can take a decision. But I was speaking to the Archbishop day before yesterday. I had visited him on a courtesy. He was telling me, see doctor, though you allow us to run the schools, will the parents send the students with this fear psychosis? I don't think so. In the month of June it would be possible. I think we need to wait for another 1 month and understand the situation and then take a decision, because below 10 years or 15 years the children you can't segregate them within the classes or in the fields. Then natural instinct for them is to gel with their peers.
Correct.
So you can't just curb that activity of theirs. You can't take away their freedom like that. At the same time, we need to ensure their schools, their academically they have to progress as well. So there is very confused state we are all in. But we will try to address that after studying the entire issue. Maybe in a fortnight's time, I think we'll be able to do that.
Another viewer, sir, Mahantesh, he has a request for you. He wants to bring to your notice that people working for the Arogya Kavacha ambulance service 108, their salary is very low. What can the government do on this front?
I'm a medical education minister, but this comes under health portfolio, which is not mine, unfortunately. But I can request on behalf of all 108 ambulance drivers and the workers to the Honorable Chief Minister and definitely present their case to Honorable Chief Minister.
Right.
For your information and for the information of the audience, since that I became the Medical Education Minister, we enhanced the salaries of all the frontline warriors in medical colleges,
Yeah.
the associate professors, assistant professors, and the professors. Almost for about 2,500 people, we enhanced their pay in sync with the 7th pay AICTE norms.
Correct.
So between this and stipend, we almost it is costing the exchequer close to 250 crores
Right.
per annum. So this is a kind of gratitude that this government has given. This is the way the government has been so empathetic towards the corona fighting community.
Right.
So we are doing all our best
Right.
in our limited resources at this
Right.
moment. All that I can say is that we are here to be with you. We will ensure that you will be empowered, you will be strengthened financially, socially, economically, and healthy by health. So just give us some more time.
Sai Biradar has a COVID related question, sir, and I think it's an interesting one. What will be your approach in handling non-symptomatic cases?
Yeah, see, non-symptomatic corona-infected persons, you don't have to treat them. It's so simple. Unless they're symptomatic, why should you treat them?
Right.
So I think it is symptomatic treatment should be the way that's forward, and we have engaged one committee who have created an SOP for each and every facet of containing this virus, right from screening of the passenger till the management of a patient who is on a ventilator. For everything we have a standard operating procedure. So even for treatment protocol, we have an SOP developed, and this is a pan Karnataka.
Right.
And this is the only government which started in the beginning only. What is this tele ICU and telemedicine?
Right.
So
Correct.
telemedicine is something where you try to control the contact between the doctor and the persons who have some who have issues, or who goes. Normally the patients go to the doctors.
Right.
So we try to contain that. Similarly, filtering, that was the filtration process. Secondly, this tele ICU is first of its kind. We ensured there is a centralized expertise from 6-7 faculties. We have a centralized tele ICU set up in Bangalore.
Okay.
With state-of-the-art facility, working round the clock in 4 phases.
Right.
In the same way, the same protocol is throughout the state, it is followed, and it is centrally monitored from Bangalore.
Right.
The same kind of protocol treatment will be applied to Kalburgi, or a patient if he is in Bidar or in Chikbalapur, wherever they are. And if such ICU intensivists or anesthesiologists, if they have any problems there, they will be seeking the advice of the experts who are engaged in the central tele ICU system.
Right.
So this is what we are trying to address.
Right.
The whole idea is that to not just contain this virus, the main focus of any government should be to the save lives. This is the challenge throughout the globe.
Correct.
So I think in that way, when you compare the global average or the national average, Karnataka government is doing everything possible to save a life.
Right.
And to strengthen my argument, I can say that every COVID associated disease, I mean the death, the mortality in Karnataka, we are just announcing without any aberration in our mind.
Right.
Like other states, if they have any comorbidity and they still die with corona infected person, they are showing as a cardiac failure. They wouldn't show a corona positive.
Okay.
Like for example, this morning 32 years old person died.
Yes.
In Victoria, but he had a comorbidity issues not hypertension or diabetes, but he had AIDS and tuberculosis.
Oh.
Still, we went ahead and announced that it is a death because of corona. He was a corona affected.
Right.
So we have been so transparent. Our records are so so openly. We have been so genuine.
Right.
So that's why I feel that Karnataka mortality rate is very much within the limits globally or
Right.
nationally, about 3.2%.
Yeah. Sir, in the context of interstate travel, which you addressed earlier, there is a question from Vasanta Hosabettu, who is watching this live. Why has the government relaxed quarantine rules for people coming from other states and for those coming from abroad, given that a major share of these new cases are coming from them?
I'm sorry.
Why has the government relaxed quarantine rules for people coming from outside Karnataka and from abroad?
No, Vasantaji, we have not relaxed any rules yet. We are only thinking in that regard, because we have a limitation for institutional quarantine. To certain number we have the facility. If travelers start coming in lakhs, we do not have a facility for quarantining institutional. Then we'll have to resort to the home quarantine. Home quarantine will be the ultimate practical, pragmatic solution. But we are creating all the models for it, how effective surveillance can be done, how effectively it can be implemented. In a day or two, I think we'll come out with the detailed guidelines. In this regard only, we had a detailed discussion yesterday under the chairmanship of our Chief Minister. In fact, I have some flowcharts with me, which I can't share, of course, now, but in a day or two, I think we'll come out.
Right. There's another question which I think you will be interested in, because it's a topic you have been talking about. Mahesh Keshav Murthy wants to ask you, sir, why can't we just focus on testing more? And what is the current process of contact tracing?
Yes, Maheshji, to begin with, we had only 2 labs in the state. And the testing capacity of ours was only about 200 to 300 tests per day. From there, in 2 months' time, we have established state-of-the-art 53 labs. Today we have 53 labs, and 22nd we tested 11,700 tests per day. Definitely we have enhanced the capacity of testing, and as I have promised to the people, we will be establishing 60 minimum labs by the end of this month.
We have just a week left.
We will do it. We have only 7 more labs to go, and we will do it. We will definitely do it, or we will improve our promise.
And what about the current process of contact tracing? So how is the government doing on that front?
Right from the beginning, we have been excellent. We are adopting these 4 T principles: tracking, testing, treatment, and tracing.
Right.
All these 4 T principles we have been very vigilant on. We have established our procedures here. So the tracing and tracking will be the key to success. Because once you identify a person who is positive or who is highly, if you think that most likely this person would have developed a contact with a positive person, then the chances are very easy. It becomes easy for us. So we are using technology for it. We are using many apps. Arogya Setu is a wonderful app.
Yes.
And as Prime Minister or Honorable Prime Minister has said, it just not supports and helps you. It helps your family, and it strengthens the government by helping the whole country. So it is a very important app, and we are trying to focus. We are trying to promote this app to as many people as possible. Today, the people who have downloaded this in Karnataka is about 67 lakh people. In the country, it is about 11 crore and odd. So I want our Kannadigas, people of Karnataka, to download this app more and more now,
Right.
so that you can save yourself, and also one person can self-assess himself using this app, whether was he in risk of getting contact
Yeah.
with a positive person, or what is his chances,
Correct.
what is his risk chances, if he has any medical issues or medical doubts, he can also get cleared in that app.
Correct.
Actually,
Correct.
so it is also acting like a telemedicine. So there are indicators for it. If it is a green, then you are safe.
Yeah.
If it is orange, then you'll have to go to the nearest lab and get it tested. So red is definitely you are positive. So all these color indicators, there are many indicators and a lot more technological applications, and this is completely safe because it is completely encrypted.
Correct.
A lot of people think that our personal data can be shared.
Yes, yes,
These
that's
are
a
the
concern, yeah.
Kind of, they have such notive and motives.
Yeah.
A lot of people have asked me also.
Yeah.
So that is why yesterday I think I had a press conference
Yes.
only to clear these doubts.
So Vishal TR wants to ask you a question, and I'm sure you will empathize with him because he is a first year medical student, and he is asking you, sir, what about our exams? They have scheduled exams from 28th July. It's really tough to write the exam by attending classes online. Kindly help us.
28th July. Yes. Still 2 months, 2.5 months. I don't know how many months he needs, but first year MBBS, we have not utilized them for any of our COVID activity.
Right.
And I think 2.5 months giving a notice for appearing online examination is a very, very reasonable one. I think if you are not studied, 2.5 months is sufficient time in my own experience. Please start studying from today. Thank you.
So Vishwanath Khanapur has a question about something that happened earlier in the day, and you were there at Palace Grounds. He is asking you, sir, many migrant workers gathered at Palace Grounds. Please tell us what transportation facilities has the government arranged for them?
Yeah, Vishwanath, it's a good question because only this morning while I was going to my constituency, my district, Chikbalapur, I saw thousands of people flocking and waiting for something around Mekri Circle, Tripura Vasini gates. So I had to, go up to them and I wanted to find out what exactly was that. So there were two groups of people. One group, they wanted to go to state of Manipur, and another group of people, they wanted to go to the state of Orissa. So there were two different trains which was earmarked for them. So in each train, the capacity was to carry about 1,600 passengers. So we have a app called Seva Sindhu.
Yeah.
So similarly, I think Manipur also, those respective states, they have some app and they have sent the messages to all their people in Karnataka, not just Bangalore, throughout the state of Karnataka. For the information purpose, you should understand last 15 days, these trains are running between Bangalore and those respective states. But unfortunately, only 1/3 of the people were coming and traveling.
Right.
2/3 of the bogies were going empty.
Yeah.
Only today, all of a sudden, people have come in so vast numbers, 3 times the number that can really go.
3 times the
train.
capacity.
3 times the capacity. So there were obviously 2 times the people outside the gate. Only those authentic passengers were inside.
Yeah.
So I tried to find out using the phone. I spoke to senior officers, everything. I addressed them because our Chief Minister has been so empathetic to all the migration workers, all those people who wants to go there. We have offered them the free tariff, not just free tariff. even the water inside, some snacks, food, everything we have organized at the government capacity. So we have been most sympathetic and empathetic to the people who have been part of our system,
Right.
who have helped us by working in their respective spaces, be it construction workers, it may be in spa, it may be in hotels, in any in any professions they were occupied with. So in that sensitivity we have always worked for. Unfortunately, I understand their panic. So with that panic, they all assembled. They wanted to go everybody at once. So I tried to convince them by requesting them to go back to their homes.
Right.
Let these 1,600 authentic people travel today. The remaining people you can go back.
Yeah.
If you really want to go homes, you want to see your families, the government is not going to curb it.
Right.
We will allow you to go with free tariffs, everything. We'll ensure that your travel is safe, secure. At the same time, you please understand Bangalore is the real cosmopolitan city.
Yeah.
Who have welcomed you with such love, care, and
Arms wide open.
Arms wide open. There are more outside state people or outside state people who are living in Bangalore than the native Kannadigas.
Yes.
So it is a truly multilingual, multi-ethnic, very dynamic, vibrant city. And also I told them, if you are going for health reasons, you can't find better place than state of Karnataka for healthcare facility to provide. In fact, people from abroad, they come for healthcare to Bangalore. It's become an international destination for healthcare. International health.
Medical tourism.
Yeah, medical tourism.
Yeah.
So this is what I told them, but I appealed. I think after that they have understood what I told and they have gone back to their respective places. We will be organizing a new train by tomorrow, day after, and we'll ensure that they can go back safely.
So on that note, I have an update for you. We are half an hour into this session and we have questions pouring in at every second. Is it okay if we continue this for another 15 minutes?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Sir, previously there was a question on schools and colleges which to which you were very honest. Now, Aishwarya Kulkarni wants to know, when will IT companies open?
Aishwarya ji, I think IT was never shut, I thought work from home was the new order.
I think she wants to know when can she start.
IT space.
Yeah.
But we have not stopped it actually. I think couple of weeks or 3 weeks back only our IT minister or DCM had gone openly. He has told that at least 1/3 or 50% can work. And I think now even IT space also has no ban on it as such. With reduced numbers, they can start working, functioning in their respective offices, corporate. Only thing is, we have some guidelines for all IT spaces that they should follow.
Sir, Mayur Gowda, who is watching this live, he has a big picture question for you. What is the vision for your department post-corona?
Yeah, for the department. It's a very interesting thing. I want to come out with what is called a health register to the entire state. This will be digitized. This will be a very, very interesting concept where we'll be evaluating through very detailed census of every individual. We will be understanding what kind of health parameters we have reached. What are the issues rurally? What are the issues because of the poverty, region-wise, age-wise, and gender-wise? All this we can take into consideration. Even in future, the government can plan our programs. We can spend rightfully.
Right.
Once you have a data of health register in place.
Right.
Similarly, all my medical colleges, I want to ensure that it is on par with any of the international universities, international medical schools. So in India, for Indian standards, I can say that NABH and NABL accreditation should be there for hospital as well as our labs.
Yeah.
Simulation labs should be there. Similarly, for all these students who are studying in our med schools, they should have an opportunity of traveling abroad and trying to understand what is the modern way of technology that they are using in international recognized med schools there. So there should be an exchange program for students. For the people from US or any other forward-looking countries, their students can come here and get exposed to such vast clinical exposure here. The clinical material will be a huge thing for them. Similarly, for our people, our students, the technology that they will be encountering there will be a huge opportunity for them for their learning. So this is one new thing that I would like to do. And also from medical education, using our resources, I would like to upgrade each and every medical college infrastructure. And also the PHC also, though the PHCs does not come under our purview, since we have some money in our department, I want to take up PHCs and I want to strengthen the public health system at the Gram Panchayat level. So as a pilot project, I may be taking 1 or 2 districts.
Okay.
So once I think seeing the success of it, maybe the government will come forward and expand it to the entire state.
Right. So many students seem to be watching this, sir. We have Jeevit Gowda, who has a request. Sir, please promote pharmacy students as we can't understand online classes. Is that a...
Please promote?
Pharmacy students.
Okay.
Because he says they are not able to understand online classes. So he wants the government to promote pharmacy students.
Just pass them without exams.
I think that is a request.
No, Jeevit, unfortunately, I don't think so we can do this. There is nothing to understand online classes. All that, what you used to do, physically, here you are just trying to understand virtually. So there's nothing complex about it. So I think you should come to practical terms with it and please get on to the business. You have to face an examination to clear it.
So Prakruti Bhatt has a question that is being talked about globally, sir. She wants to know, is it true that a vaccine will be available by September or October? And what do you think is the progress happening on that front?
I'll be really very happy even if vaccine comes in tomorrow.
Oh.
As early as tomorrow, if it comes, I'm very happy. I'll be the happiest person. But let us understand the facts. Any new drug or any new vaccine that people are trying to make worldwide, there is a global effort in trying to contain this pandemic. So there are number of clinical trials that are going on. But if it has to reach an efficacy level, it really needs time.
Okay.
As a medical person, I would like to tell you, it will take not less than 8 to 10 months. This is the bare minimum.
For a vaccine?
Yeah, for a vaccine, to try a vaccine in a community or for a bigger population. Clinical trials can happen in tens and hundreds. If it has to happen in millions, it really takes time. This has been our understanding, this has been our experience from many decades, from many centuries, in fact. So this kind of pandemic is not a new thing for us. Humans have always countered these pandemics. That's why I always tell viruses have always troubled humans, but they are not been successful over human beings.
Right.
The ultimate victory belongs to humans. We will win over it, but during the process we may face a lot of obstacles, we may lose a lot of lives, like Spanish flu. I think in the world we lost close to 50 crore people. So India alone, we must have lost 5 crore people. So, I think 50 crore people was infected in the world, and 5 crore people in the world are succumbed to it.
Yeah.
So even in Mysore, even in Bangalore, rural parts, rural India was mostly affected.
Yeah.
During that pandemic only, that plague pandemic, the same Victoria that now which is been designated hospital to treat COVID was established then under the Maharaja Krishnaraja Vadaya. To combat the pandemic then, the plague pandemic.
Correct. So Nikita has a question, sir, and this I think carries some significance. How should normal cold and fever patients be treated, because OPD doctors are not treating them?
Yeah, this is very unfortunate. See, every doctor has a responsibility. That's why this profession is the noblest profession.
Yeah.
We have been requesting number of times, right from Chief Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, we want the private practitioners to start their practice to treat the non-COVID issues. There should not be a scenario where people for non-COVID reasons die more than that, more than the number of people who die because of the corona. It should not happen such. So we request, finally, in fact, I am meeting all these associations of IMA, KMC. We are trying to meet them and trying to explain them. Let them go back. Let them take precautions.
Correct.
They can't hide away.
Correct.
When we take up this profession of noble service, we know that we will be subjected to innumerable number of microorganisms, not just viruses. There are number of fungi, there are bacteria, 15 lakh viruses are there. Not every virus will trouble us. So let us be realistic, let us face it. So through you, I'll appeal to all the doctors community, please get back to the profession, because you know that people acknowledge, respect us, respect them and compare doctors to the gods. Vaidya Narayano Hari they say.
Yes.
So let us behave in that way.
Hari Krishna has a question, sir. He says, sir, you are roaming around so much. Are you not scared of corona?
Hari Krishna ji, see, I am not scared because something will happen to me. I am bit apprehensive because I have young children at home.
Okay.
That's the only apprehension. But the energy, the strength, the bravery has come because of the wonderful people of Karnataka who have given me this opportunity to serve in this juncture, crucial juncture. So I thank God to have sent me in this position, in this juncture, to support the community, to support my brothers and sisters of Karnataka.
Paudhan Kumar Jain is watching this live from Japan.
Oh.
And he has
in Japan last year.
Oh, okay. He wants to know, is institutional quarantine mandatory for all international returnees? Because I am in Japan and cases are almost nil here for the past 3 days. So he's asking if he comes back, will he have to? Paudhan Kumar Jain.
Paudhanji, I have seen in Japan, I have traveled the length and breadth of it. I know what's the kind of hygiene protocols they maintain. There, I think the more number of elderly population is more in Japan. Apart from Italy, I have seen. I think Japan is another country.
Right.
Even when they are trying to swap in their own houses, the mask culture is there.
Right.
So, if you compare Japan and India, I think we should really relook at it, rethink about it. But only thing is, when you come to India, by the time you come, I think our quarantine methodology and guidelines would be changed. I hope so. So at the same time, I request bring in the good practices of Japan and try to propagate here as well.
Right. Vaidyanathan has a question. This is another forward-looking question. Sir, are we proceeding towards herd immunity with the new normal way of life with social distancing and wearing of masks? Do you think with dense population it will succeed? Is there herd immunity developing?
Herd immunity definitely comes in by at least 60% of the population should get infected. For a population of ours, like in Karnataka, if you are talking about 4 crore people should be infected.
Oh.
Let us not even think of it.
Right.
We should not get on to a so callous attitude of spreading it, or trying to think that herd immunity is the only way forward. No, it's not. The only way forward is to contain this virus,
right.
break the chain.
Right.
Break the chain by adapting this social distancing, mask culture, hand wash culture.
Yeah.
I think this is the best method at the moment.
Correct. I think such questions come because of lockdown 4.0 and the relaxation that has been given. On that, Deepa has a question. She wants to know, was it necessary to open street vendors and chart vendors on the streets? Is it not a dangerous move?
See, for any elected government across the globe, we are all in a very stressful point.
Yeah.
We need to balance between saving life and allowing the livelihood to continue.
Correct.
So there should be a fine balance between life and livelihood. So in that regard, by taking all these precautionary measures, by releasing all guidelines, we have requested people who are the most affected people because of the lockdown. It is the marginal people who are below poverty line. That includes even your street side vendors. So we need to revive their economic activity for them to lead their lives. So we have allowed them to carry out their activity by adhering to some strict health regimen, hygiene regimen. I hope they will follow.
Right. Many are watching this live, sir, and one of them is from your own fraternity, Dr. Srinivas Mokaddam. He says Ayush doctors are working at the front line, yet there is no response from the government. Please give your opinion on Ayush doctors working in government PHCs all over Karnataka.
No, honestly, I have no offense against any of the other Ayurvedic Ayush doctors. It is just that does not come under my purview or my department.
Okay.
Though I'm an allopathic one, but I have no offense against them. In fact, I have a lot of respect because I know as a culture, the Indian way of medicine started from Charaka and those days, Sushruta and all, through Ayurvedic means. In fact, even the modern societies today, they are trying to adapt to the Ayurvedic system, homeopathic system.
Right.
So I'll be very glad. In fact, I will also press for the welfare of these doctors.
Right.
I'll try to do my bit by requesting the Honorable Chief Minister and the Government of Karnataka.
As we go towards wrapping this up, sir, Nitin has a question. What is your opinion on Corona becoming a taboo? Patients with Corona are being viewed as outcasts. We have seen in the news also, sir. This is
a very sad part. It cannot be dangerous than many other contagious diseases that we have seen. No person wanted to get infected,
right,
or no person has been infected because of his ill will or his bad conduct.
Yeah.
So there is no social stigma should be attached to this.
Correct.
It can't be a taboo. I appeal to the people of Karnataka, I appeal to the people of India. This is just like any other flu. If you have a fever, if you have a cold or cough in your homes, will you send them away? Will you be away from them? No. All that you need to do is maintain the social distance, This with or without treatment for 95% or 90% of the people, with or without treatment, this will just go away within 15 days. So it is so normal flu. So this is bothering to that community, that kind of people who have comorbidity issues.
Correct.
And who are above 65 years.
Right.
So these kind of community should be alert and be more vigilant. These people should be protected also. The youngsters should protect the children below 10 years and above 60 years, and all those people who have comorbidity issues.
Right. Lastly, sir, Satyapal, who is watching this, he wants to know, is there any news about people coming forward to volunteer for a corona vaccine in Karnataka or in India?
There are many people, day in, day out, they are coming me. Ayurvedic people are coming, they come, allopathic are coming. Some people from science background also, they are also coming.
Oh, okay.
So there are a lot of people. Some stray incidents that has happened to me. Some common man also is coming and saying, I can find, sir, I bet you, sir, I challenge you. So sometimes I feel really, very crazy about it, but still with the kind of enthuse that they come, I am giving them time, and I am trying to send to our ethical committee, which completely analyzes their theories, their projects, and then only if they find there is some substance to this, then we will promote this to, we will project this to ICMR. Finally, they will going to completely allow them. If they want to allow for the clinical trial, then they will give the permission.
So, to close with, I want to bring to your notice that a lot of students are continuously asking about the stipend issue.
Yeah, that is from
which you have,
Davangere.
which you have addressed.
Yeah. It's a private medical college that has been known to all of us. Unfortunately, those two institutions in the state, they are not paying stipend. I think I am calling for a meeting of the management, and we will have to raise it to MCA also, because it is a very serious issue. They can't just go away with the stipend without giving stipend. It is really an offense, and it is not humane. The students are working for you, they are working in the hospitals, and they are all government students. You can't just allow them to work for free. So this is not humane of the management, according to me. So we will write to MCI and take further strict disciplinary action.
We'll have to close with that, and we acknowledge that there were many questions that we could not take, but we thank everybody who watched this, who is watching this live, and we thank Dr. Sudhakar for the time that he spent with us. Stay safe, stay home, and thank you for watching.